I think the video has been reviewed by Yuli, Alvin, and JK, and they both agree this is the overall good option. Overall good feature.
JK who?
JK, Yuli, and Alvin.
I think you need a more heavyweight person. I think I would get Mehmet, Cookie, Sam, like developers. That like I have not seen. I could be completely wrong, but I don't think you'd typically go into an invoice and put the currency there. You usually set up the entire tenant with a currency. It strikes me. It strikes me as unusual.
Okay, I will collect more feedback then.
Okay, so for the second one, this one is assigned to me. Most of the UI UX and also like the feature request from last video are done thanks to Sam. But then I'm asked to create a new invoice template to show the iterations function that we don't have. So I'm talking to Lou for this one, and that's blocking me for longer time. And I anticipate there to be like 1 day work left for me to get the new template running and then record the video. So yeah, so that's for the second cross this video task. Are you happy with that?
Yes, I'm happy with that.
Okay. So yeah, we could continue. Sprint review. Last sprint, we estimate our capacity to be 40, but our actual capacity is 36 due to some interruptions. Jim has 2 points deducted, and I have 2 points deducted because I was put into the WiseTech takeaways. You mentioned that I need to work with a Costa and Kaha for the migration rules, so we count that deduction. And this is the actual time build to TimePro. This is the Sprint backlog. We actually created a bunch of breakdown items from our video feedbacks last time. So do you want to go through each of them, or you just want a quick demo? We can show you all the UI UX changes.
Yeah, let's just look at a quick demo.
Okay, sounds good. So I will bring in the TimePro page. Most of the changes are done by Sam. So Sam, do you want to demonstrate the new features or changes?
Yeah, sure thing. I might just quickly share screen if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Cool. So here we're looking at the project iterations page. So this was the page where a lot of UI UX work was done. So yeah, just looking at a few things. First of all, we changed around the format here, or the layout rather. So the filters were on the right, now they're on the left because they're really the first element that you interact with. And the sync button is now off to the right because that's less frequently used. Before, if you had nothing selected, there was a...
Hold on.
Yep.
I think it's unusual to have the sync button so far away from the two filters. So you choose the client, the project, and then you sync, right? I think it should be just to the right of the project.
The sync button is probably something you're not using every time, I would say. But that may not be true. That may be an assumption of mine. So that might be something to talk to people about that use this.
We have a lot of buttons on the right side and filters on the left, so we would need to change a lot of pages for this.
Okay. So when you select find and project, does it do an automatic search? Does it you don't need to press the buttons called search, do you?
Yeah. So if you've already synced previously, then this will be populated. Yeah. So yeah. And the other thing, also I'll go on with a little bit more of the UX work, but that's a good point.
If you're doing UX work on this, you definitely should know how the sync button works and when it's used. It's not possible to do a lot of improvements to the user experience when you don't know how it's used.
Yeah, that's fair. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, the other elements that were added here as well is that before we had a native dialog up here for this syncing, and now we're using a TimePro dialog here. Good news is that no real CS work or no extra styling work was needed to be done for this. This is a reusable component, so that was a very small amount of work. And in the future, wherever we see native dialogues popping up, it should be just a 1 or 2 pointer to quickly migrate those over to our new TimePro dialog, which is nice. And yeah, just a small addition as well, which is that when you navigate away from the page and back to it, the selection that you chose up here remains so that this list stays in context. So those are the few bits of work that was done on that page. But that's a great point about actually talking to somebody who uses that and understanding the UX of that sync button further. I maybe made some assumptions there.
Right, okay.
Thanks, Sylvia.
You're mute, Sylvia.
Yeah, going back to the review eval. Sorry, I muted myself. Yeah, there are some other work backlog. PBIs that you would like us to go into details. So these ones are.
No, but generally, just a tip: you should bold the most important PBIs on the sprint, so they stand out.
Okay.
Like you've got 10 items there that are done. Bold the top 2.
Okay, so this one, these ones are more like a prereq to the video task. So I won't say like any of them are like super important. Maybe like this, as these are done, but like these massive ones are still have like remaining work to do. So we have a estimated effort of 51. That's because when we start the planning, we start with the 16, 16, and 8 in last planning, and then we break them down into smaller PBIs. Also, we bring in a few PBIs mid-sprint because, for example, this one, the V7 more edits is brought in like mid-sprint, so that caused us to have a more estimate point than our estimate capacity. But our actual effort is very close to the actual capacity that we have, and we even have like 2 more points comparing to the actual capacity. So someone delivered more work than they anticipate to. So for that, we come to our suggested timesheet usage. The number goes down a little bit. We only lose 1 user, I believe, from the active users, but the automatic timesheet usage, we go up by 2% comparing to last time. So the burn down chart. We kind of have a weird burn down chart this sprint because we have massive PBIs to start with, and then we break them down into smaller PBIs, then deduct the effort point end sprint. So we decide to take a different approach next sprint. So we will use placeholder PBIs and then remove them after we create or yak shaved the breakdown PBI. So we will see a more accurate burn down chart next sprint instead of just one slope at the end. The deployment part, we did 1 production deployment for last sprint. Going down to code coverage, there's not much change. Pretty much stayed the same from last time. The pipeline health, pretty much the same, no change. And then this is the application health overview. We still observe the same dependency failures as in last sprint. So this is already tracked by this bug PBI that Jim has tackled this sprint. So he will write down some notes as he has already talked to JK, and we probably know the root cause. Do you want Jim to go into details of this one, or we could continue.
Yeah, Jim, can you tell us just quickly?
Well, briefly, it's about a CRM HTTP request.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a 4-1 error during the authentication, and me and JK have found the direction we are going to solve this issue. So that's the next action point.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so we can look at our state of epics. So we actually made a bit progress on the cross-billing and multi-tenant unified reporting, thanks to Sam again. So this number increased by 4% compared to last time. But sadly, the other two major epics, China tenant and standardized UI framework, we didn't include any PBIs this sprint, so there's no change. Okay. And then the AI usage for team members, no change from last time, pretty much the same. And then the Claude stats, Jim asked the Claude to summarize our review session, and these are some key decisions and action items to look at. First, we agreed that the new PBI management strategy, like I mentioned for the burn down chart, now it just looks awkward. So we decided to use a placeholder PBI next sprint, see if that helps. Not next sprint, but like in the future sprint, see if that helps. And then also we have a number of mid-sprint PBI addition without approval of PO. So we will try to avoid that for next sprint. And then the video iteration, we mentioned that it takes too long for 3 videos to be iterated for over 4 sprints now. And the like Joffrey's one is already at its V7, so it's taking some of the capacity from the team members because of the video recording. And we want to know if we will still be able to focus on our epics if we continue with the video iterations.
Right. So are you saying the video recording itself takes a long time, or fixing all the bugs?
Fixing all the bugs from the video feedback.
Right.
Because we want to
right.
finish the video, but there's more and more feedbacks as you look at the video, and there's like bug fixes and UI UX changes, and that's taking up the team's capacity.
Well, I don't think it doesn't sound like the actual video. It sounds like, let's just say you do a video about automatic invoicing. That is like a tester would give you feedback as well. It's like saying I did the automatic invoicing. I'm getting feedback. Should we be doing the feedback? Generally, you do I guess you don't want to gold plate something. And maybe some of this stuff is falling into gold plating. And when you do a video, it encourages gold plating. That's maybe the issue. But I would say you want to get like the early videos. This is your first one, Sylvia, and your first one, Jim. So the early videos are probably going to be more work because you're not used to all the feedback. But I think a tester would give you most of this feedback anyway.
Yeah,
right,
but
like,
I
you
would
know,
argue that the gold plating is like 95% of the changes that are being required. So I could be wrong, but my read on this situation is, these videos, I guess, started originally as a part of the China deployment. Yeah. So the epic was, let's get a new tenant spun up in China. And so there's a bunch of work that went into getting a new tenant spun up. And then when it comes time to do the video of like, here is how we spin up a China tenant, there's a lot of room for improvement on pages that have been around since the dawn of time that weren't actually a part of the work in spinning up a China tenant. So, like here is the page that we go to when we want to create a new tenant. Now that page itself has been in existence for God knows how many years. It was like not really a part of the China tenant work, right? It was just happened to be a page.
when we went to do the video recording, it didn't sync the CRM stuff without errors. So it was there, but not really fully working. And and then when Jim did his video on, you know, making China currency support, he's put it not in the settings, he's put it on each invoice. You know, these things are just
so probably 95% incorrect estimate, right? Like less like there's probably a decent chunk of valid stuff in there, right?
There is some.
Yeah, but there is still some sort of, you know, gold plating that is occupying the time because those pages happen to be in the video, and then the feedback comes in. I want those pages changed. I don't want this loading bar to be like this. I don't want, you know, whatever it is, right?
That's
so
right.
there
we
is
aren't changing pages that aren't in the video, so that's one good thing. You know,
it is.
There's not gold, but a silver lining.
Fair enough, but I just want you to be aware of the risk that you know, the more iterations of these videos, the more it's going to become gold plating changes, which you're going to hit diminishing returns on. Yeah. And there should probably be a line drawn in the sand somewhere where you're like, all right, look, I would like some extra UI changes, but now these things are not as high a priority to me as the feature work that we want to get on with. So just be mindful of that.
All good.
Cool.
Okay. So let's continue. For the Copilot stats, let's see the speaking summary. I did most of the speaking because I taking over Scrum Master position from Jim this sprint, and then the book has a lot of input. Jim speak a little bit. Actually, everyone I think speak quite a few, like contribute to the like discussion compared to last sprint. Like me and Sam are being quite quiet. I think everyone's joining the discussion this time, which is really good. And then for the main issue completed, Copilot says it was the main item was the video recording work, which is true. Joffrey's is very close to being finished. Sadly, the other two still a little bit work left to do. And then what's left to do, like for next sprint? Use placeholder PBIs, as I mentioned previously, for major tasks, so we don't have massive PBIs in the sprint that makes our estimation inaccurate. Let's look at Yakshaver usage. So the Yakshaver ratio goes down a little bit, but like the actual completed PBIs goes up. So this very similar to the reason from last sprint that we have low ratio because some of the feedback, like new PBIs, are created by pasting Adam's feedback instead of like Yakshaver them on the TimePro page itself. And here is the sprint retrospective. What went well? Yeah, I picked up the Scrum Master role, and people saying I'm doing a good job. Thanks, everyone. And then the forecasted estimate was quite well matched for the second week in a row. We utilize full of our capacity, so that's good. What didn't went well, the two main goals were not delivered, and also again we mentioned we took too long on the video iterations, and then this related to the improvement are talking about the placeholder PBIs. Any question regarding the review part?
No, all good.
All good. So then we can go to the yes.
Sorry, can I just jump in for 1 second? So this main sort of pain point, Adam, about the PBIs and the burn down being affected and all of that sort of stuff. The crux of it is there's no backlog refinement session. Yeah. So what tends to happen is that the team are getting to the end of the sprint. They're doing all of these, they've completing all of the PBIs that they need to do in order to record the next version of the video. They're recording that next version, getting it reviewed by you, and then we get like some extra improvements that need to be done, right? But the video being reviewed is happening so late in the sprint that there's not enough time to go and create all of the PBIs that they need for each individual point of feedback. Yeah. So what they've been doing is kind of just throwing in one giant PBI, going, this probably covers most, if not all, of the effort we would need to do that, but it is a bit of a finger in the air thing.
Yeah.
So I don't really see any better solution to that, because I don't want to take more time away from the sprint to do a backlog refinement session, given that we're doing weekly sprints already. If we wanted to do backlog refinement, we'd probably want to look at making them 2-week sprints or something along those lines, but we're kind of just making do with the best we can right now. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I am. I don't think it's the biggest issue. The burn down is the least of my issues, really. I know some teams really care about the burn down, and then they go to a lot of trouble to start not only putting estimates on the PBIs, they put estimates on the tasks. Yep. Just to improve the backlog, I don't find it beneficial at all. Like the main goal of doing estimates is, for me to say, all right, let's all estimate adding this report on here, and then Thomas says that's going to be a 32. And we go, oh, what? Why is it so big? And he goes, well, I have to build this reporting stuff. And we go, oh, no, just use this component to do a PDF. And he goes, oh, if that's all I have to do, then it's a 2, right? Yep. And so just the conversation for estimates is the best thing. If I was to say what I hoped would have come out of this sprint review, this retrospective, is that it would have been awesome if Jim had done since he had problems with the last version, he would have had a call and said, right, so we've heard your issues with that. We've got JK and Alvin here who say it's the correct way to do it, and let me tell you why. And then, because it sounds like if Jim had a little bit more time, he would have recorded a new version of his multi-currency for invoicing video. And I still have massive concerns about the way it was done. Yes, JK.
Yeah, so for clients, the way we solved quite a few times is we just showed the feature before we record the done video. We get feedback, we implement the feedback. It saves you sometimes hours doing that.
Yeah, a lot of teams do that. They quickly want to show it to you. Jeffrey does it. He comes and shows me the UI and stuff just before he records it. And I give him some feedback, and sometimes he forgets to show me a screen, and then it's in the video and I have feedback. So, I definitely think Jim and Sylvia should call, Sam or Cookie or someone, get the okay, and then add me in just to double check everything's cool. But we made a thread last sprint on last week on Friday. It was a thread in Teams about the multi-currency video. I think we should have made sure that kind of got done. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So Jim will get more feedbacks and then get the feedbacks reviewed by you.
Sylvia, it's get the feedback. There's no S, not feedbacks.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember you told me once. I will remember it.
So it is, I'm just looking at the chat on this video. The last time I see it was on the 9th of January. So that's a bit weird.
Also, Adam, if you wanted the answer in terms of currencies and invoices, Xero by default doesn't have it, but they do have an upgrade where it adds it. But they do support it, because when you get a income that is in a different currency, the invoice automatically switches to that currency.
Okay.
But you can also have the currency picker. European ones have that by default, but
Did you look
American
at that
ones
since our
have.
discussion last Friday?
I looked at that and I refreshed my memory just now.
Yeah, I would have recorded a very quick video just to show how it works, and then we're all on the same page, if that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that that was task for this. Sorry.
You weren't
I
aware that
thought
we
you
had a
just
lot of
wanted.
questions about the invoicing last week?
I thought you just only want the answer, not a video.
Well, we could have had a call as well. Yep. But no, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and a video is worth 1,000,000. Famous person said that. Me just now.
Yeah.
Really.
Okay. So Adam, just to clarify, so for the future down videos, do you want a quick call and see them before we do the videos?
Yes, yes. After you've showed somebody else, for sure.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
Yep.
Okay. So we could proceed to our forecast. So let's see. Should I send off the email for this one? Or I still need the recording link, sorry. Okay, so forecast for sprint 344. We still have, so the V6 is done, but the V7 for tenant provisioning, it requires more edits. So the top priorities are still 3 videos. We are trying to get them done next sprint. And for next sprint, because Jim will be on client work and Joffrey will be on leave, so it will just be Sam and I, 2 members working for sprint, and our capacity is around 24. So the top 4 PBIs are remaining work from this sprint, and then we brought in the new PBI to remove legacy B segment from TimePro URLs as requested by you, Adam. And then the other one is to keep track of the dependency failure that we see with application health. Are you happy with the
Yes.
planning backlog? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Sounds good. So, the main action point, sorry, I should paste it there instead of in the review email. My mistake. I will fix it right now. Just 1 second. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so this part I already covered in the review emails. So I guess if no one has questions, we are good with the planning for next sprint.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks everyone. And also check out this video on our YouTube channel, SSW TimePro. Thanks everyone.
See ya.
Excellent sprint review, Sylvia. Well done.
Thanks, Sylvia.